All right, Michael Benson is a football and boxing writer for Talksport.com, and he puts out a lot of very interesting information on his Twitter account. He tweets regularly about boxing with all kinds of quotes and rumors and news and official announcements. So definitely somebody worth following on Twitter for boxing news. And he put this tweet out today, and the tweet says, "Seems to have been some seriously quick progress on Dillian Whyte's next fight. Press conference with him and his unnamed opponent tomorrow." So we'll see if this happens. Yeah. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Pulev, Ortiz, or somebody else? Some people have speculated it could be Jarrell Miller. Other people have said Joseph Parker. Some people have even said Derek Chisora, which I doubt, but you never know. And the reason I doubt it is because Derek Chisora's market value at the moment is pretty low. But still, it's a potential, I guess. Now, in terms of the direction I think Dillian Whyte should go, and I'm an outsider, I'm not an insider, so maybe my opinion is very uninformed. But I personally think the best direction for Dillian Whyte to go is the WBC route. I know that he feels aggrieved. I know the WBC have made Brazil mandatory ahead of Dillian Whyte, when Whyte really, should get the opportunity to be mandatory by fighting Ortiz. Not second mandatory like they're trying to make him, but first mandatory. So I know he feels aggrieved about all that. But the way this Wilder-Joshua situation might pan out, Dillian Whyte might have to wait just as long for his WBC title shot, whether he's first mandatory or second mandatory. Yeah, because they've apparently made Brazil first mandatory, so he gets his mandatory shot first. Then the winner of Whyte against Ortiz, they become second mandatory, and then they get their mandatory shot second. But the way it's worked out, Dillian Whyte was unhappy about that situation, okay, because he's ranked higher than Brazil, so he's thinking, how can a guy who's ranked below me become mandatory? That's ridiculous. And why he's unhappy about that is because Dominic Brazil gets his mandatory shot this year, and Dillian Whyte feels that's unfair. He feels like he should get his mandatory shot this year. So if the winner of Whyte and Ortiz became the first mandatory, like Dillian Whyte believes it should be, then the winner of Whyte Ortiz would get a shot at Wilder this year, a shot at the WBC title this year, and that is what Dillian Whyte wanted. He never had an issue with fighting Luis Ortiz. He just had an issue with being made second mandatory rather than first mandatory if he beats Ortiz. You see, that was always his issue. But the way that this Wilder-Joshua situation might be working out, it might not matter if Whyte is first or second mandatory. He might actually have to wait the same amount of time anyway. Yeah? Because if Deontay Wilder takes on Brazil as a voluntary, and then Whyte fights Ortiz, and let's say Whyte wins and becomes mandatory, he's not going to get the Deontay Wilder fight this year if Wilder has a unification with Joshua. That's not going to happen. He's going to have to wait till next year, early next year, maybe, March, April, or potentially, and more realistically, he'll have to wait until the summer. Even if he got made mandatory this year, right, and Brazil wasn't mandatory, because of the unification, Whyte would have to wait probably till next summer to get his WBC shot anyway. You see? So because of that, at this point, it might be better off for Dillian Whyte to go the WBC route and fight Luis Ortiz, even if he is second mandatory instead of first. And one of the reasons is because he's going to get more money fighting Ortiz than he's going to get fighting Kubrat Pulev, potentially. He's certainly going to get a better split, all right? Because it was a 75-25 split in Pulev's favor, because Pulev's team won the purse bid, or, well, the third party won the purse bid anyway. And regardless of who won the purse bid, it was always going to be that kind of split. That's the IBF rules. So Dillian Whyte was only going to get like, I think 400 grand or something for fighting Pulev. Whereas against Ortiz, I have to imagine that's going to be much more favorable for Dillian Whyte in terms of the purse split. And they could have that fight of the year too. You know, they could even have the fight in America. They could have the fight wherever. But Dillian Whyte, you would have to imagine, is going to do better off financially from beating Ortiz. Or from fighting Ortiz, sorry. And also from beating Ortiz, Whyte would get more credit. I know people see it as a dangerous fight, and it is a dangerous fight. And I've said before, I'd be picking Ortiz in the fight. But if Whyte was to win, he's going to get way more credit beating an Ortiz than he would get for beating a Pulev. And his market value would go up to another level again if he was able to beat Ortiz, particularly if he was able to beat Ortiz without being hurt or without any kind of issues. Because then he could say, well, I did a better job than Deontay Wilder. You know? So it is a gamble. But at this point in time, anything that Dillian Whyte does is a gamble. Fighting Pulev is a gamble, because it's probably going to be in Bulgaria, or certainly won't be in the UK. You know, potentially anyway. I mean, maybe they'll make this announcement tomorrow and, you know, Pulev versus Whyte will be in the UK. We'll have to see. But I'm assuming it's not going to be in the UK. And it's still going to be 75-25 per split in Pulev's favor. So that's a risk, taking that fight. You know, if it's in Bulgaria, I mean, it's a huge risk. It's not like Pulev is a knockout puncher, but he can box and he can get away with a lot of things in Bulgaria or Germany that he wouldn't be able to get away with in the UK in terms of holding and, you know, tactics and stuff like that. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anything Dillian Whyte does at this point, any decision he makes is going to be a risk. And I just think the Ortiz risk, there's greater reward, both financially in the short term and financially in the long term, because of the fact that it boosts Dillian Whyte's credibility. It boosts his market value if he can beat Ortiz and do so impressively. And again, he's going to have to wait for his mandatory shot anyway because of this unification situation going on. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the Dillian Whyte next fight, whoever it's against. But we eagerly await news tomorrow. If this information from Michael Benson is accurate, we eagerly await the news, the announcement, and the press conference against Dillian Whyte's unnamed opponent. Alright, so let me know how you feel in the comment section below about everything I've discussed in this video. It's happening, I'm out.